not admitted without parents or guardian.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome to another episode of the Drive-In Asylum double feature. I'm Bill Van Ryn, editor of Fanzine Drive-In Asylum, and in the other box with me tonight is Gigi Graham, film
You guys
journalist.
know me already.
Film journalist, fantastic person. Hi, Gigi. It's nice to see you.
Hi, so nice to see everybody. I'm back again like a bad penny for 2022.
This is your first time on the show this year.
Yes, this is my very first time this year. So I brought you one of my favorite winter movies, Accidentally Appropriate, probably my favorite TV movie of all time from 1973, A Cold Night's Death.
I put that trailer together that we just watched, but I haven't actually watched the whole film, so I'm really looking forward to this because it looks nice and creepy.
It's a very, very tight, almost like a two-person play. We have one set. It's two scientists on a remote, very snowy research station. The movie is also trippy, just so you know, mainly because of the score. It's that point in time where everyone was just kind of whacking around with electronic keyboards and theremins and hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me, but it worked. I think it was. It looked very atmospheric, a little bit like John Carpenter's The Thing, even.
Very much like John Carpenter's The Thing. They have kind of very similar atmospherics. Obviously, they're at different price points, but the atmosphere is one of the things I love about this film because it legitimately feels isolated and cold. Meanwhile, they were probably shooting it on a California backlot when the weather was quite warm.
Movie magic.
We'll ruin the movie magic.
For those of you who asked, yes, Sam will be on the show tonight. He's just doing a show tonight, a wrestling show.
So everyone get all of your bad behavior out. Like if we want to talk about cannibalism and how to prepare people again, do it before Sam gets here.
Yeah, Sam will be having none of that, right?
Yeah, Sam will want us to behave.
We're going to do Cold Night's Death first. I know that is a flip-flop from what I put in the ads, but I wanted to save Donko in the House for Sam, and since I found out he wasn't going to be on the first segment, we're going to do Cold Night's Death first. And it'll let us get to the second movie a lot earlier, too, because this is kind of a short one.
Yeah, being that this was made for TV, it only clocks about 72 minutes, probably to fit into like a 90-minute time slot. We've got two fantastic actors. We've got Robert Culp, who did a lot of Westerns. He was very like the square-jawed hero in TV. Through most of his youth. He was also in Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice. And of course, he was kind of the lame dude in the wife swapping movie, because if it's about people being, you know, somewhat polyamorous or sluttish or anything like that, you know I've seen it.
It sounds like a favorite genre of yours.
Yes. People being less conventional in their appetites that's how you know I didn't pick the second movie, because nobody's being slutty. It's very depressing. It's a New York tri-state area movie, but Don't Go in the House does not have the slut quotient that I usually prefer.
Aside from a brief disco interlude.
Yes. Aside, I won't make I'll save the obvious joke for the third segment in regards to that whole disco sequence. But to keep on topic, which I'm terrible at, We've got Robert Culp. We've got Eli Wallach, who was an amazing character actor, one of the first members of the Actors Studio. And what I like about these 70s television movies is that they kind of became these beautiful showcases for either character actors who never really got lead roles, leading actors who had perhaps aged out of type, or very young creators who were on their way up. No, we may not, Dustin. Don't start.
He will see it. Don't forget that. And
yeah, the chat doesn't magically disappear.
Becca could be watching too, and she'll report right back to him.
Yeah, she will snitch.
Why would we talk bad about Sam anyway?
And come on, Sam's amazing. How many times has he got us all drunk?
Every weekend.
Yeah, every single weekend
years.
for the past how long?
It's been about 2 years now. Can you believe it?
It feels like it was just yesterday.
We haven't done it every single weekend, but
was it Scream Bloody Murder very first?
No. I looked back on it, and actually Scream Bloody Murder was the second one. The first one we did was Blood and Lace, and there was something else too. Spookies. It was Spookies and Blood and Lace. That was
Fart Monsters.
Yeah.
That's a real one. Yeah.
The very one. 2 movies in one, sort of.
Yeah. 2 movies that didn't make sense for the price of one, stitched together. But I know people love Spookies because of the silly creatures.
Sam's the one with the glove. I don't know.
Yeah, Sam's the one with the J&B, and he always has gloves on, even when it's warm. And we haven't figured out why, but
the mysterious
some guests we haven't seen in a while.
The black Giallo glove.
Yes.
So what's been going on, Gigi? You were on a podcast recently. Should we talk about that?
Yeah. In fact, hi Pete, I see you. I was on the 42nd Street Forever podcast doing a wrap up to December. If you followed all of my written output that month, you probably know what my 5 favorite films were. But if you want to hear me talk about which ones I like best and a little bit more about why that you didn't get in the written pieces, you can go check out the 42nd Street Forever podcast at the Grindhouse Cinema Database. And Pete and I have a discussion about our 5 favorite films from the marathon of exploitation viewing that is December.
Right on. I listened to the podcast. I thought it was great. I loved hearing you guys talk back and forth about those fantastic films. And
I thought of you when we were discussing Common Law Wife. I was like, this is about.
That is one of the greatest surprises of my life, because I can't remember when I first saw that, but all I knew was that Dr. Masters from Don't Look in the Basement was in it, aka Annabelle Wienik or Anne McAdams, whichever one she used for that particular film. I'm not even sure.
I think it was Annabelle Wienik was the credit. No, yeah. It wasn't, was it?
Yeah, could have been Anne McAdams. She used that sometimes.
And then there was about a quarter of it that's got Lacey Kelly from Nude on the Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like the weirdest thing I'd seen in a long time, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Larry Buchanan directed that one, sort of.
Ish.
Unofficially.
Yeah.
You explained it on the podcast, didn't you? I mean,
yeah, where basically Larry Buchanan had made a film, I believe it was called Swamp Bros. And for whatever reason, that film was never completed. A distributor picked up the remnants of that film, had a completely inexperienced, completely greener than my eyeshadow green director do some inset shots on it and made it a completely different movie, but they couldn't get all the same actors. So the primary female protagonist is 2 different people.
Yeah, that was because I didn't catch that the first time I saw it. I didn't know that till you pointed it out. And
they're so brazen in how they choose to approach it. Like they give them both actresses like a full face close up, and in being so bold as brass about it, it almost tricks your head into thinking that it's like a real thing. Like, no, they can't be 2 different people. Why would you do that if they were?
Yeah, they don't even care if you figure it out.
Yeah, not even minding. But yeah, that was definitely a Bill movie.
Anything where there's people screaming at each other, that has my attention right away.
So then I guess you like Seeds, Andy Milligan, because that is nothing but people screaming at each other.
All you have to say is Andy Milligan, and I already love it. The less that happens, the better.
Yeah, the more just random people screaming and swirl camera. just kind of shaking back and forth.
The only thing that I think really doesn't fall into that category from Andy Milligan was Vapors. That actually seems more like a real movie to me.
Nightbirds, Vapors, and Fleshpot on 42nd Street are all actually real, more like a traditional movie rather than just Andy Milligan's manias for 90 minutes.
I haven't seen Nightbirds yet.
I can facilitate that if you need.
I wish you would. I don't think it's in the box set.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is because
Okay.
I have the BFI copy if need be.
I know. I'm so ungrateful. I've had that box set for like 6 months now, and I haven't watched everything in it yet. But I don't know. It's just like it's hard for me to watch movies. I have to wrestle for the TV. That's the only place where the Blu-ray player is. And Mark's always watching Law and Order.
That used to be my go-to when I was in like a hotel room at 3 a.m. in some random state, like for work. I'd be like, "Oh, Law and Order's on somewhere, someplace."
Yeah.
But I actually took account, and I'm a little ashamed of this. I've watched 46 movies this month.
Yeah, it's sort of like the new sicky stuff is on TV on shows like Law and Order and SVU. So I've seen some really disturbing things on those programs.
Yeah. They have no compunction, like just toss that baby out the window. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's something really terrible, maybe we'll put it on SVU.
When that happened in Andy Warhol's Bad, that was considered groundbreaking, and now you can just see it on television.
Yeah, now you can. Well, I mean, just like any of the Mondo films at one point were so terribly shocking, and you can see worse than that on like regular cable reality shows at this point.
The really awful things are on the ID network, and you have all those murder shows that it's definitely murder porn. There's no way to describe that.
Yeah, I mean, because none of it is focused on the victims of these crimes. It's definitely a glorification of the crimes themselves, which is questionable. But people love true crime, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's disturbing to me. The thing that really upsets me the most about it is when they get the victims on camera or the survivors. They prefer it when the victim is dead, and then they can get their mother on there and have them crying on camera about it. Like, that was the last time I saw her. I'm like, oh.
It's so exploitative. That is really the modern day exploitation, like the modern day geek show, is to kind of trot out these victims of horrible things and be like, all right, wring out your emotional pain for other people's entertainment.
See, Pamela knows what I'm talking about. I see too much ID Network, Pamela, because that's Mark's favorite. Or at least, that's what he puts on for room noise. So what does that say about him? The level of violence too and gore in those films is really surprising to me, because now all they have to do is flash like a little warning before the program, and you can see people with their heads split open on there.
The world has changed so much, like especially for people like us who spend a lot of time watching older films. Like what was scandalous in 1940 or 1950, 1960 even, is so tame now. You could probably like show it during daytime hours. Things that at one point would pack a grindhouse for how scandalous they were.
Well, our first film tonight is a little more restrained than that, and I dare say that this is a movie where nothing happens. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to love it.
This is a movie where very little actual physical action happens. It's mostly psychological. It's a slow creep. It's an atmospheric thing. Yeah. It's, again, tonight is freeze to death or burn to death, and this is freeze to death. It's slow. And you don't necessarily feel it coming after a while.
Both of our features tonight are kind of slow, and one of them is literally a slow burn.
This is definitely the more measured of the two, but you've got two fantastic actors basically at the top of their game doing a tight little chamber drama, plus monkeys and weird electro warbling. So, if you were one of the many children who was left to your own devices to learn your moral lesson from like Rod Serling, Twilight Zone, Night Gallery, this is a very similar sort of storytelling. And it was actually directed by Gerald Friedman, who did a few episodes of Night Gallery, but not any of the real corkers from that series. So if you're used to that kind of, Twilight Zone, World of Imagination, secular humanist type of storytelling, then you'll probably like this for what it is. It's not exactly the most action-packed film, but it's got atmosphere leaking out its ears.
It looked a lot like a play to me,
yes,
almost like a stage.
It could have very easily been a play.
You think so?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're right. It looks like a stage play. There's one set, small space, 2 actors. You know, you need a couple of stuffed monkeys and you'd basically have it, no matter how tiny of a theater it was.
Or maybe a radio drama, CBS radio mystery.
Yeah, you definitely could adapt this to either a radio drama or a stage play for sure. But that was kind of, these films didn't have very much budget, so a lot of them were working on limited sets, limited characters.
So you said that somebody in your family was a big fan of Robert Culp. Who was it again?
The whole reason I know that this movie exists, because this originally aired in 1973, I did not see it until the mid 80s, is because my grandmother, may she rest, thought Robert Culp was the hottest piece of Snatch on 2 legs. She absolutely had the biggest crush on him. So she had taped it off the television, taped over like some important family party, just so she could have this movie because Robert Culp takes his shirt off.
She was impressed by that, and she should have seen A Name for Evil, where he's completely full frontal in it.
Again, had she known about it, she would have been all for it. She was a spicy, feisty broad.
I like Robert Culp full frontal because he looks like a normal guy. He wasn't chosen because of his porn abilities. Let's just say that. He's really a very attractive.
Not to fine a point on it.
It's not that fine, okay. Not that fine of a point. There's one scene in this film where he's in his undies, and you can definitely see what's going on down there through his long johns. So, for those of you who are dirty, you got something to look forward to.
Which is most of you,
yes,
because I've been hanging out with you guys for quite a while.
We know what you're like.
We can put those who are so inclined on packaging inspection. Make sure everything arrives safely. You have a job now.
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. And we remind you to click like on the video and or share so that others can find the broadcast. I don't know if I overpost about these broadcasts, but I'm always putting stuff on Facebook, and I always wonder, people are like, oh, there he is again. But, if you don't get it out,
you can't promote yourself. How are you going to promote anybody else, Bill?
Right. Nobody else is going to do it, so we have to do it, right? So yeah, earlier in the chat, I saw that Pamela received her blanket in the mail. So congratulations on that win, Pamela. I hope you're staying nice and snugly warm.
Are you nice and cozy now, Pamela? Because you got the totally awesome blanket.
Oh, it's super warm. I don't want to gloat too much, but it's a perfect nap blanket. And if you didn't get one because it's sold out in like 2 hours, never fear. Pinsploitation is going to restock them. I don't know when, but sometime soon, I would imagine. So, and you'll be sure to hear about it from us as soon as they're available.
Maybe we can even convince him to give another one away. Maybe.
It might happen. I'm just saying. Mike Justice, I know.
You're just jealous because you don't have one.
He is. And he's not afraid to tell you either.
Nope.
Bitter, bitter, bitter. So, unfortunately, there is no ad gallery to look at for this because I couldn't find anything.
There is one poster. That's it. There was probably ran as a print ad. I don't think there was any exhibitions of this outside from the week it aired on television in January of 1973.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we do not have a cool ad gallery. This did not have a whole lot of print advertising to go along with it.
It's hard to find stuff that was advertised for being on television because it's frustrating because I know it's out there. And I know if I just always feel like if I looked hard enough, I could find every single piece that I'm after. But it's hard because you have to find the right newspaper. Here's the one thing that I was able to find. Oh wait, I have to get rid of our overlay before they can see it. Okay. So here we go. At least this is something for us to look at. We got a little thing, helicopter action going in this film.
And Tuesday movies of the week, I believe, were usually the horror ones, and the sci-fi entries, the genre films, were usually on Tuesdays.
You guys are going to love this because some wonderful person, whoever uploaded this to YouTube, they included the introduction to the ABC Tuesday movie of the week. So it's going to be just like traveling back in time to 1973, which is when this premiered. So make sure you use the link that I posted on Groovy Doom when you go to watch it, because
Yeah, because that's the one that has the original inserts and bumpers, which are kind of delightful in their it's very graphic design is my passion, and so are key parties. So definitely check those out.
that explains your fascination with that genre we were talking about earlier.
Oh, well, see, I don't know if we can call like people being sluts mainly amoral sluts, but if you want to be an ethical slut, cool. I'm still down to watch the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be amoral. I don't think it's amoral if everybody's on board.
This has a very similar vibe to The Thing, but this predates the Carpenter version. So I think that's accidental.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is 73 and The Thing was 82. But yeah, it's definitely a little Lovecraftian, I would say. But ultimately the resolution isn't going to lead to that place that you think it's going. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Have I already said
I'm
too
sure
much?
those of you who grew up watching this sort of television will figure out what's going on, but we're not going to spoil it for you. We're going to try to be fair. No spoilers.
Yeah. So, since Sam's not here to do the cocktail, that's going to be up to me. So maybe
And
now would be
what
a good.
is the cocktail for this fabulous film? What did he create for us?
He created, this one's called A Cold Winter's Drink. And now let's see. We're going to need an ounce of rum. And I'll have to reach down into my liquor cabinet for this one. I was so glad I restocked Kraken. So you don't have to use Kraken rum, but I highly recommend it. Is this the first time I cracked it open? All right, so we're going to do an ounce of rum in this. Or, to your liking. If you want to do 2 ounces of rum, go for it. That's what I say.
Yeah, we don't judge if you want to pour yourself a double.
It's Saturday night, and we're going to party. And it's probably really cold and snowy wherever you are. I know it is here.
It is absolutely. There was about 1.5 feet outside.
Yeah. Oh, so you did get the nor'easter.
Yeah.
Condolences to you and to everybody else who got the nor'easter.
Yeah, everyone who had to slog through snow today.
We did not in Pittsburgh, which I feel like we dodged a bullet. All right, so we're also going to do an ounce of cream of coconut. And I don't know why I poured it into this thing, because it's never going to come out. Just do your best, okay?
It's fine. People have different ways of doing things.
And we also need an ounce of blue curacao. I think I said that correctly. If not,
You did.
Okay. Oh, very good. What did I do with it? Now, I had this all prepared before we went live, and now I'm completely stranded, shall I say, without my balls. BOLS, okay. We're going to do an ounce of this, too. This is going to be a colorful drink. I love those.
To distract us all from how cold it is, a colorful tropical flavors kind of drink.
Yes. All right. And what else is in this? Oh, 4 ounces of pineapple juice. Ta-da. I believe this is a 6-ounce container, but, no judgments here.
No measurements either. We freestyle it. It's fine.
Yeah. Who cares, right? We're going to get boozy, and that's all that matters. All right, so I think that is all of the ingredients. Yes. Shake with ice until super cold and well mixed. I think that's well mixed. Pour over ice. I'm just going to dump the whole thing out into a glass. And voila.
I opened a bottle because, as we know, I don't mix things. I don't kitchen. It's not a skill I have. But cheers, kids.
Cheers to everybody, and cheers to Sam. We're looking forward to seeing you on the second segment. So,
and then this way he can mix the cocktails because he's better at it than either one of us.
Absolutely. So, drink up. What is that you're drinking?
This is Wolfer red cider, hard red cider. It is delicious. It tastes like apples and cherries, except really boozy. I think it's like some little tiny farm in upstate New York, but it's really good if you can get a hold of it.
Right on. So what else should we talk about on the first segment, Gigi? What's on your mind?
Let's see. What else have we got? Unfortunately, there's not a lot of backstory to this movie. I wish there was. But this movie, the creation is very simple. Like these TV movies, the one thing I do find interesting is right around this time, 72, 73, is there was actually a lot of crossover between the people creating TV movies and the people who created smaller budget theatrical movies. I couldn't find this online, but I almost chose You'll Really Like My Mother with Patty Duke for tonight. And that was actually shot by a television crew for a theatrical release. Unfortunately, that is nowhere. So we went with my favorite TV movie because they gave me the brief of something cold. So for once, I had to pick a movie where everybody keeps their clothes on. You know, that's not my usual way.
Paul, I'm so impressed by your profile pic. There he is.
Look at that cool guy. Look at what he reads. He's so much cooler than me.
Drive-In Asylum issue 23, or 22 rather. 23 is the new one that has had the longest gestation period out of every issue of Drive-In Asylum. But I promise you all, it is nearing completion and should be ready in the next week or so.
Oh, thank you, Dustin. Do we have the crawler? Can we crawl my website for anybody new? Thank you, Dustin, for that reminder.
Thank you, Dustin. See, you should be a producer when you're not on, Dustin. You have to vamp for a minute, Gigi, because I'm going to have to type this in.
While he types that in, hi, everybody. Ooh, you met Patty Duke, Vince? That's amazing.
Oh, that is amazing. I love her. I wish I would have met her.
I feel like because she overplayed it so heavily in Valley of the Dolls, everything she did after that, she underplayed in a really interesting way, and it made her really sympathetic. Like, even when she was playing a character that wasn't particularly likable, it made her that much more sympathetic. Also, the fact that she's very tiny. Like in You'll Really Like My Mother, she's walking through snowdrifts that are as tall as she is, and you can't help but feel bad for the poor girl.
Yeah, I remember that one. She had a bad night.
To me, it's like the American version of Fanatic, Die, Die, My Darling.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's a good call.
Of course, it doesn't have the glory that is Tallulah Bankhead, but it's still... Beth, you saw Evil Come, Evil Go. Did you hate it or did you love it?
I like Evil Come, Evil Go. I liked when you talked about that, too.
Oh, I love Evil Come, Evil Go so much. So, Beth, did I scar you for life, or are you also a weirdo and did you enjoy it? Yes, my kind of lady. You loved it.
I got that Vinegar Syndrome DVD that has Evil Come, Evil Go and 2 other movies on it.
Evil Come, Evil Go is the best one out of that set. Second up, I would probably say, is Oh, You Beautiful Doll, because it also stars Cleo O'Hara, and she is camping it up, doing softcore porn, Sunset Boulevard riff for the gods. Widow Blue is really, really strange, but it's still not that dynamic of a film, other than, you know, John Holmes unfolds it and also did the makeup. So you can, you know, stand up and salute the tower and also, hey, did a decent gore effect. Cool.
Yeah, that one was a sickie. That's the one with the necrophilia, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, it's weird. Like, is it necrophilia if it's on top of the coffin? Like, I'm trying to remember if there was like, yeah, and there's some implied actual necrophilia,
They had
but
a
none.
body in bed with them, I think. So, someone in bed
Yeah,
with them
like
was
they're
dead.
yeah, but I don't know if they involve the body in what they're doing. It's one of those movies that belongs with like Love Me Deadly,
Ugh.
that corner, that kind of movie. Matt, Evil Come, Evil Go is about Sister Sarah Jane, and she is a Southern fire and brimstone preacher who preaches against the evils of pleasurable sex and evil men. She has a full theme song about how insane she is, and she is running up and down Hollywood Boulevard, seducing men so she can sing hymns at them, then stab them to death. It is the wackiest movie.
I kept thinking throughout that whole movie about the daughter from Imitation of Life. Her name was Sarah Jane too. And I was like, maybe this is what happened to her later in life, after she ignored her mother because she passed for white, and then when her mother died, she was all of a sudden changed her mind. I think she felt so traumatized by all of that that she turned into the Sarah Jane in that movie.
She just snapped and turned to her own.
Imitation of Life is such a Juanita Moore is amazing in that movie.
That movie is the most melodramatic melodrama. Like, if you looked up melodrama in the dictionary, Imitation of Life should be right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very dramatic. Frank Perry, who directed Mommy Dearest, should have done that movie. Of course it wasn't him. But it was just it was amazing the way that she just sort of like throughout the whole movie, Juanita Moore, she always had that same sort of like register about her. So she was so even tempered, and she
Yeah,
like
it kind of killed all her line readings because no matter what was going on, she was kind of still here.
yeah, she left it though when she got upset about Sarah Jane taking her clothes off. Like, Sarah Jane, put some clothes on. Like, she really lost it at that time. But oh, that kind of reminds me, because she was in a movie. She was in Abby. Juanita Moore was in Abby, and I didn't
I
mention that
like Abby.
I love Abby too. We did Abby on the show,
Abby is really fun.
and we didn't mention that Carol Speed passed away.
No, we did not. And condolences to her family and friends, because she didn't get as much credit as some of the other actors of that subgenre in that period, but she was delightful in pretty much everything she ever did.
Yeah, yeah, I feel bad. I mean, about not mentioning it. I didn't know Carol Speed. I'm still sad that she died. But so many folks are passing away now because this era of movies that we're into, it's time for a lot of these people to pass away. And I don't want the show to turn into like sort of like, a list of all these people that passed away. I just have so many to talk about every week. So that's the only reason that I don't mention stuff like that.
Well, I mean, you're never really gone as long as somebody remembers you. So as long as we're still showing the films and we're saying their names, then it keeps a little piece of them around. And maybe
Yeah.
that's a way to look at it, rather than, yeah, this is an era where a lot of the principal players aren't necessarily going to be around for that much longer.
Yeah, unfortunately. I thought about doing it, and I remember when John Saxon passed away, I did a little tribute video for him, and it was nice having it on the show. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, am I going to do that every time someone passes away? And we're going to have a lot to watch on the show. So I'm not doing it to disrespect any of these folks, because they mean so much to us. So maybe that's something I should consider changing. But anyway, let's see. What else should we talk about before we go to the movie? I feel like we ended a little bit. Sam's not here, so
Sam is usually the one that keeps us from getting too tangent, too too far off into the woods. But I'm going to tell you a secret, Vince, just because you mentioned it. I don't like Poor Pretty Eddie, and I never have. It's this sort of opinion that would probably get me pilloried in certain circles, but I've never been a Poor Pretty Eddie person. I think the lead actress in that is a bit miscast, and she should be the most sympathetic character in the piece, and a lot of the time she's not, and it's partially the actress and partially the writing, and that kind of tanks the whole thing for me.
I haven't seen that one. There's another name that it goes by. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Poor Pretty Eddie. You would think
I don't know. I know there are several alternate titles for that movie, but I don't remember off the top of my head what they are.
It's so hard to keep all of them straight. It's one of my favorite things about doing the ad galleries is finding all of these alternate titles. But that one sort of I don't know. Maybe we should. You said you don't like it, so maybe we won't.
Yeah, I don't really like, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. Like, if we're gonna show a piece of exploitation trash, let's do Shanty Tramp.
I love Shanty Tramp.
The Shanty Tramp theme song lives rent-free in my head pretty much all the time.
Is Shanty Tramp the one that it came back with another title, like Death Farm Massacre?
No, that's Honey Britches.
Honey Britches. Okay.
Yeah, that's Honey Britches, which was actually rather more enjoyable as Honey Britches than it was as Death Farm Massacre, but that's a low bar. That's one of those ones where, you're not even sure if Carradine knew where he was when they had him do inserts for it for the trauma version, which was Death Farm Massacre.
Poor Pretty Eddie.
Is that the alternate for Poor Pretty Eddie, Pete?
I think so. And but there was another one, and someone mentioned that Leslie Uggams in it. Is someone gave it a blaxploitation type title. It was like Black Revenge or something like that.
Something.
Poor Pretty Eddie.
That, and I mean, if we're gonna go like exploitation-y marketing but art house leanings, Cockfighter is a much better movie than Poor Pretty Eddie to me, and they're both kind of edited in that very New Hollywood kind of way.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Black Vengeance. Thank you, Beth. That's definitely it.
That's the one I was thinking of. I almost got it right. So maybe we should go to the film.
Yes, let's go to the first film since it's cold outside. Let's get all of the iciness out of the way and do A Cold Night's Death, and we'll see you on the opposite side.
Yeah, go to the Groovy Doom webpage. And of course, I don't have the countdown ready, so I'm vamping again. It's one of the last. Go to the Groovy Doom Facebook page. It's one of the last posts up there, and you'll find it.
And it has the YouTube link where you can watch with the original bumpers, yes. And then you can come on back here, and we will discuss.
All right, and hopefully Sam will be back, or otherwise we'll get the form to ourselves.
We'll just get really drunk.
I'm always up for that. All right. So thanks to everybody for joining us on the first segment. Come back after the movie, and we'll talk some more about A Cold Night's Death and set up Don't Go in the House on the Drive-In Asylum feature.